So remember the story, remember the distance. We've gone from Asbahan or Ram Hormuz all the way to Dimashq in Syria, Damascus. And now from Damascus all the way to Mosul, which is in Iraq. So he goes to Iraq after the person, his teacher has been buried, and he goes to Iraq and he goes to the person he's been advised with, and he says to him, I'm so and so, and I've been with your friend so and so, and he told me to come here. So he said, and I want to stay and study and teach and learn with you and pray with you and be with you. So the man says, all right, fine. And he lets him stay with him. And after a short while, the man passes away again. And now Salman needs to find a new person. So he goes to him and says to him, who can I go to? And now the man says to him, go to a man in Nasibin. And Nasibin is not too far of Mosul. It's just after the border going to Turkey, Mardin, the area today is called Mardin. So he goes to him and finds the man. And he says to him, I'm so-and-so, son of so-and-so. And he tells him his story basically. So the man tells him, all right, you can stay, fine, you can stay with me. And then he stays with him until the man gets sick and passes away. And now he needs to find a new teacher. So he says to him, where should I go? And he says, look, he says now, I don't know of anyone that's upon me and what I and my two other friends were upon, except for a man in Umuriya, a place in Umuriya, which is just south of Ankara, Turkey today. At the time, you'll find in the hadith, it says Rum. Why? Because at the time it was a part of the Roman Empire, of course. But since then, it's become a Muslim place, and people, it's a Muslim country, it's a part of Turkey, and so on and so forth. But in the hadith, you'll find that he says Bilad al-Rum. But the place is actually Umuriya, which is just south of Ankara. So he went to him and he stayed with him. And this time he said, I earned a bit of cattle. I earned some sheep and some cows. And I worked there and I stayed with the man until the man passed away. Until the man passed away. And then he went to the man and said to him, where should I go now? He says, and this is the final nail in the coffin, he says, I don't know of anyone. There's no one left. I was the last one basically. Look the search that takes him so long, and until this man, and he's going to continue searching of course, but look at the search. For what? For the truth. So the man says to him, وَلَكِنَّكَ قَدْ أَضَلَّكَ زَمَانَ نَبِيٍّ. But you're in the time, an era where a prophet's going to come. يكون على دين إبراهيم. He's going to have the religion of Ibrahim alayhi salam. يخرج بأرض العرب. He's going to come out in the lands of the Arabs. Lands of the Arabs. به علامات لا تخفى. He has signs that you'll not be able to miss. And before that he said, مهاجرا إلى أرض بين حرتين بينهما نخل. He's going to come and he's going to emigrate to a city or a land that has two big mountains, and between these mountains are date palms. And he has certain signs that you'll not be able to miss. He's going to not eat, he's not going to eat from the sadaqah, charity food. He doesn't eat that. He's going to eat hadiyah. If you give him a present, he's going to eat from it. Between his shoulders is khatamun nubuwah, the sign, the seal of the prophethood. If you can go to him, then I advise you to go to him. So he says, I stayed, after the man passed away, I stayed behind in Umuriya, just waiting for the opportunity. And then after a while, a caravan from the people of Kalb, the tribe of Kalb, came. And I asked them, I said, if I give you all my cows and all my sheep, would you be able to take me to the land of the Arabs? And they said, yes, of course. So they took him with them. And they went all the way to a place called Wadi al-Qura. Wadi al-Qura. Salman says, when they got to Wadi al-Qura, ظَلَمُونِي. They oppressed me. Why? What did they do? He said, they sold me to a Jewish man as a slave. Subhanallah. Look, his search for truth, look at what he sacrificed. Remember, as we said in the beginning, he's Ibn Dihqan, he's the son of the chief of the village. He's not poor. He doesn't want for anything. But his search of truth put him in this state, in this condition, where he became a slave eventually. But he didn't panic. He didn't even care, subhanAllah. He said what? When he said that they took him to Wadi al-Qura, the only thing he's focused on still is finding the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what he says, I looked around and I saw date palms. So I had some hope that I'm in the right place. Ya akhi, ya habibi, they've just sold you as a slave. He doesn't care. The only thing he cares about is to find the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to find the truth, to accompany him, to be with him. And he said it still didn't feel right. It didn't feel like exactly the right place. So he said, I stayed around. And after a while, another Jewish man, the cousin of the first owner, bought him and took him back to Medina. Another Jewish man from Bani Qurayza came and visited his cousin in Wadi al-Qura. And he saw Salman and said, I want to buy him. So he bought him off his cousin and took him back with him to Medina. Now when he entered Medina, he sees the dates, he sees the mountains, he becomes so happy. He's just been sold as a slave. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter for him. He's become so happy. Why? Because he said, as soon as I entered the city, I saw exactly what the man had described to me. I saw exactly what the man had described. And look how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you really search for something and you really try to find the khair, the good, the haqq, the truth, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps you. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا, whoever strives in our cause, put in the effort, strive, struggle, go from here to there, only to find the truth. What did Allah say? وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. That person will guide to our ways. But you need to also struggle. You need to also search the truth, as Salman did. And when you do that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you and guide you. Look, he was in Amuriya and something happened in his life. Because, subhanAllah, and this is exactly when he needed it. Because now he's in Umuriyah and they described a place on earth in the lands of the Arab he would never be able to find. How would he know what city this is? But Allah, through Ar-Riq, through that slavery, through that man, those people oppressing him, he got all the way to Medina. And when he got to Medina, he said, I spent some time in Medina and I heard about a prophet in Mecca. And then he came to Medina. He made hijrah. And he said, when he came to Medina, I was working in my master's field, basically, his trees, his date palm trees. And then he said, my master was sitting down beside the tree and I was climbing up the tree. So the master's cousin came, another cousin, not the first one, another cousin came and said, قَاتَلَ اللَّهُ بَنِي قِيلَ. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala curse Bani Qila. And Bani Qila is a reference to Al-Ansar, Al-Aws wal-Khazraj. Why are they called Bani Qila? Because their common mother, a common ancestor, that is a mother, is called Qila. Her name was Qila. And she is basically the mother of Aws and Khazraj. So it's a sort of derogatory name for them. So he said, قاتل الله بني قيلة والله إنهم لمجتمعون الآن بقباء على رجل قدم عليه من مكة. They're gathered right now in Quba, which is just outside it's part of Medina, but at the time it was a bit outside of Medina. But today, the city has sort of swallowed up everything around it. So he said, they're gathered in Quba right now, together with a man they claim to be a prophet, that has come from Mecca. Salman is obviously hearing this and he's up in the tree. He says, when I heard this, I was overtaken by a tremor. I feared that I would fall down onto my master. So he said, I climbed down really quickly. And I said to him, ماذا تقول? ماذا تقول? What are you saying? What are you saying? And then his master got mad. His master got mad and slapped him and said, ما هذا شأنك? This is not your business. Do your work. And he said, all right, fine. I just wanted to confirm what he was saying. So Salman radiallahu anhu did what? He said, I went home after that night and I had saved some food, some stuff. And in some hadith, he mentions dates. And he took them to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, here you go. I know that you're a righteous man. أنت رجل صالح وأصحابك غرباء. And your companions are strangers. And this is sadaqah, this is charity that I had prepared for some people. And I think you're the most deserving of it. So take it. So the Prophet ﷺ did what? He said to his companions, come eat. And Salman was observing. So he saw that the Prophet ﷺ did not lift his hand to eat a single day. So he said to himself, that's the first one. And then he went back. And he said, I started gathering food again. New set of dates basically. And I went back to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. وَقَدْ تَحَوَّلَ إِلَى الْمَدِينَةِ. And he had moved from Quba to Medina now. So he went to him. And he said, I saw last time you didn't eat the dates that was a charity. These are hadiyah. These are a gift from me to you. I want to honor you. So he said, Jazakallah khair, basically he said thank you. He took them and he ate from them. And he said to his companions to eat from them as well. So Salman does what? He says, هذه الثانية. That's the second one. The third one, he said, I went back to him a third time and he was in Baqi' al-Gharqad. Baqi' al-Gharqad, my siblings, is the cemetery, is the graveyard of Ahl al-Medina, the people of Medina. So if you've ever been to Medina, you'll see that there's a graveyard that's just outside the Prophet's mosque sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's basically whoever passes away in Medina is buried. So if you pass away in Medina, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give me and you that blessing, you'll be buried in Al-Baqi'. So he said, I saw him in Baqi', he was following the burial of one of his companions. So I sat next to him and then I sort of turned around so I could see his back. And I'm trying to see the seal of prophethood. And the seal of prophethood, just as a side benefit, people think there's an actual seal. That's not what it is. Bud'atun min al-lahmi najiz, as the scholars say, the Sahaba describe the seal of prophethood as a protruding bit of skin. So it's not a seal, it's not a tattoo, it's not nothing like that. It's just a bit of skin that's excessive, that's comes out basically. And some of the scholars, they say it's the size of a pigeon's egg, so it's not too big as well. And that's what he was trying to see. And now the Prophet ﷺ sees him and notices that he's trying to confirm something that's been described to him. رَآنِي أَسْتَثْبِتُ مَا وُصِفَ لِي. So he took off his overgarment, like the Arabs at the time, they had two garments on, one to cover your lower body and one to cover your upper body. So the upper garment, he took it off to let him see. And when Salman saw this, Ya Allah, his farah, his joy, his happiness, he said, فَانْكَبَبْتُ عَلَيْهِ أُقَبِّلُهُ وَأَبْكِي. I sort of attacked him, I staggered toward him, hugged him, and I was crying and kissing him at the same time. Subhanallah. And it's not strange. He's actually spending his whole life in search of this man. And he took his shahada. And then the Prophet ﷺ asked him, what's your story? So he regaled him he told him the whole story from beginning to end. He says in the hadith, كَمَا حَدَّثْتُكَ يَا ابْنَ عَبَّاسِ. Don't forget, in the beginning we said that he's telling this to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma. So he says, I told him my story as I'm telling you right now, Ibn Abbas.